What if I told you that the life you're living right now is a reflection of the words you've been speaking for years? Not your circumstances, not your luck, not even your background, your words. The conversations you have with yourself when no one is listening, the labels you quietly accept, the limits you casually declare. Tonight, that changes because there is a powerful truth most people never realize. Before you ever live success, you must learn to talk like it. Long before the promotion, before the breakthrough, before the money shows up in your bank account, success begins as a voice. A bold, certain, unshakable voice that refuses to speak defeat. And the people who rise in America, the ones who build, lead, create, and win, they mastered this voice before the world ever applauded them. Maybe right now your results don't match your dreams. Maybe you've been working hard and wondering when it's finally going to happen for you. But what if the shift you've been waiting for doesn't start in your bank account? It starts in your vocabulary. What if changing the way you speak about yourself could change the way you see yourself? And changing the way you see yourself could change everything. In this video, you're going to discover why your words are shaping your identity, how your language is programming your future, and how to speak with such certainty that your mind has no choice but to move you towards success. This is not about pretending, it's about preparing, it's about declaring who you are, becoming so consistently that doubt loses its voice. So stay with me until the very end, because once you understand this principle, you will never speak casually about your life again. And when you change your words, you change your world. Words are not merely sounds that pass through the air, they are commands issued to the most powerful force within you, your subconscious mind. Every time you speak about yourself, your abilities, your future, or your circumstances, you are programming an internal mechanism that does not argue, does not analyze, and does not question. It simply accepts and acts. When a person repeatedly says, "I'm not good enough," "I'm always behind," or "success is for other people," those phrases become instructions. The subconscious absorbs them as truth and begins aligning thoughts, behaviors, and decisions to match that identity. Over time, this internal programming shapes confidence levels, risk tolerance, persistence, and even the opportunities one is willing to pursue. On the other hand, when an individual deliberately chooses words of strength, capability, growth, and possibility, the same internal mechanism begins constructing a different reality. Saying, "I am improving every day, I learn quickly, or I attract valuable opportunities" may feel unnatural at first, especially if past experiences contradict those statements. But repetition combined with emotion gradually dissolves old limitations. The subconscious mind thrives on repetition and emotional intensity. What you say consistently with feeling becomes embedded as belief. Belief then influences perception, and perception filters experience. Two people can face the same challenge, yet the one who has programmed himself with empowering language will interpret obstacles as temporary and solvable, while the one who has rehearsed defeat will interpret them as confirmation of inadequacy. This is not mystical, it is psychological conditioning. Language builds mental habits, and mental habits produce consistent outcomes. Your vocabulary becomes the blueprint of your self-image. If your daily speech is filled with complaints, excuses, and self-criticism, you are constructing a mindset that expects struggle. If your language reflects ownership, growth, and certainty, you are building a mindset that searches for solutions. Over months and years, these small verbal choices compound into vastly different lives. Words spoken often enough begin to feed. Familiar, and what feels familiar becomes comfortable. What becomes comfortable becomes your standard. By consciously choosing empowering language, you raise that standard internally before the world ever recognizes it. Externally, identity is the invisible force that determines behavior long before action is taken, and the most powerful way to shape identity is through the way you speak about yourself. Most people describe themselves based on their current results, saying, "I'm struggling," "I'm just average," or "I'm trying to figure things out." And in doing so, they reinforce a present condition as a permanent identity. Yet transformation never begins with evidence, it begins with declaration. When you choose to speak from the identity of the person you are becoming rather than the person you have been, you initiate an internal shift that changes how you think, decide, and respond, saying, "I am becoming disciplined," even while building that habit, signals your mind to align with discipline. Declaring, "I am a confident communicator," even if you are still improving, pushes your behavior toward preparation, practice, and boldness. The mind is always seeking consistency between identity and action. Once you define yourself in a certain way, Your thoughts and choices naturally move to protect that definition. If you identify as someone who quits, you will find reasons to stop when things become difficult. If you identify as someone who finishes what they start, you will search for strength when obstacles appear. Speaking from your future identity is not fantasy, it is psychological alignment. Athletes often visualize themselves as champions before they hold the trophy. Entrepreneurs speak as builders of successful enterprises before profits arrive, and leaders carry themselves as leaders before anyone grants them a title. The language of identity works quietly but powerfully because it influences standards. When you say, "That's just not who I am," you are protecting an identity. The key is to consciously craft that identity with intention. By consistently speaking as the person you are becoming, responsible, resilient, capable, strategic, focused, you begin to reject behaviors that contradict that image. Gradually, the gap between your words and your reality narrows. Your speech becomes a commitment. Your commitment shapes habits, and your habits solidify character. Identity declared with conviction becomes identity embodied through action, and what once felt aspirational begins to feel natural. Faith-filled language is the difference between empty repetition and transformative declaration, because words without belief are merely noise, while words saturated with certainty become internal commands. When you speak with hesitation, saying, "Maybe, I'll try," or "I hope it works," you plant seeds of doubt that weaken your resolve before action even begins. Doubt divides mental energy, causing hesitation, second-guessing, and inconsistency. In contrast, when your language carries conviction, "I will find a way, this is working in my favor, I am capable of mastering this," you unify your thoughts around a single direction. The subconscious mind responds not just to repetition, but to emotional intensity. Words spoken with genuine belief trigger stronger mental imagery, deeper focus, and heightened motivation. This is because certainty reduces internal conflict. When you are certain, you stop debating with yourself and start moving. Faith-filled language does not ignore obstacles, it reframes them. Instead of saying, "This is too hard," you declare, "This challenge is developing my strength." Instead of "I don't know how," you say, "I am learning how." That subtle shift preserves power rather than surrendering it. Language charged with belief also influences physiology. When you speak confidently, your posture changes, your breathing stabilizes, and your tone strengthens, reinforcing the very belief you are expressing. Over time, this creates a feedback loop where confident speech builds confident emotion, and confident emotion reinforces confident speech. Importantly, faith-filled language must be deliberate, especially when circumstances seem discouraging. It is easy to speak boldly when results are visible. The true test is maintaining certainty when evidence is scarce. By consistently choosing words that affirm possibility and progress, you train your mind to expect solutions instead of setbacks. Expectation shapes perception, and perception shapes response. When you expect success, you notice opportunities others overlook. When you expect growth, you treat mistakes as lessons instead of proof of inadequacy. Faith in your language gradually becomes faith in yourself, and that internal assurance fuels persistence, creativity, and resilience. What begins as disciplined speech eventually transforms into unwavering belief that directs your actions with clarity and strength. Definite purpose in speech means that your words carry direction, clarity, and intention rather than confusion or vagueness, because the mind cannot pursue what it cannot clearly define. When people speak casually about their goals, saying, "I want to be successful someday," or "I'd like to make more money," they are expressing wishes, not commitments. Such language lacks precision, and without precision, the subconscious mind receives no clear target to organize around. In contrast, when you speak with definiteness, "I am building a profitable business in this field," "I am earning this specific income," "I am developing expertise in this skill," you create a mental blueprint. The brain thrives on specificity. Clear declarations activate focus, sharpen attention, and filter distractions. Your words become instructions that tell your mind what to look for, what to prioritize, and what to ignore. Definite speech also strengthens accountability. When you declare a concrete objective, you feel a psychological obligation to align your behavior with that statement. Vague language allows escape routes. Precise language removes them. Saying, "I will improve my health by training 4 times a week," generates a different level of internal pressure than saying, "I'll try to get healthier." The former creates structure and expectation, while the latter leaves room for inconsistency. Furthermore, speaking with definite purpose influences emotional commitment. Clear goals ignite stronger desire because they are easier to visualize. When you can picture the outcome in detail, your emotions attach to it. An emotion fuels persistence. Definite language also reduces internal doubt because it replaces uncertainty with direction. Even if you do not yet know every step, the act of declaring a specific destination organizes your thinking around solutions rather than speculation. Over time, repeatedly speaking with clarity conditions your mind to operate with strategy instead of reaction. You begin to approach opportunities and challenges through the lens of your declared purpose, measuring decisions against the direction you have verbalized. In this way, your speech becomes a compass, continuously orienting your actions toward a chosen destination rather than allowing circumstances to dictate your path. Emotional conviction is the force that transforms ordinary words into powerful internal directives, because emotion acts as the amplifier of belief. You can repeat positive phrases mechanically every day, but if they are spoken without feeling, they rarely penetrate deeply enough to reshape your self-image. The subconscious mind responds most strongly to statements that are charged with intensity, passion, and certainty. Emotion signals importance. When you speak about your goals with enthusiasm, gratitude, determination, or unwavering resolve, you are telling your mind that this vision matters, that emotional signal strengthens memory, sharpens focus, and accelerates internal acceptance. Think about events in your life that left a lasting impression. They were not neutral or dull experiences, but emotionally heightened ones. The same principle applies to your declarations of success. When you say, "I will succeed," with energy in your voice, belief in your posture, and vivid imagery in your mind, the statement becomes more than a sentence. It becomes an experience. Emotional conviction also builds resilience because feelings drive action more powerfully than logic alone. Logic may explain why you should persist, but emotion supplies the fuel to continue when obstacles arise. When your success language is infused with genuine desire and determination, setbacks do not silence you, they intensify your commitment. Additionally, emotion creates alignment between your thoughts and your physiology. Your tone becomes firmer, your breathing steadier, your body language more confident, and this physical reinforcement feeds back into your psychological state. Over time, this repetition of emotionally charged declarations conditions you to associate your goals with excitement and certainty, rather than fear and doubt. The key is authenticity. Forced emotion lacks depth, but cultivated emotion grows through visualization, gratitude for progress, and deep reflection on why your goals matter. When your words consistently carry emotional weight, they begin to shape your identity at a deeper level. What starts as intentional practice gradually becomes natural expression, and the conviction you once generated deliberately begins to rise automatically whenever you speak about your future. A persistence in declaration is the discipline of repeating your success language consistently, especially when external evidence has not yet appeared, because repetition is what transforms a statement into a belief. The first time you declare something bold about your future, your mind may resist it, bringing up memories of past failures or current limitations. This resistance is natural. It is simply the echo of old conditioning. However, when you continue to affirm your direction with steady conviction day after day, you gradually weaken the influence of those old narratives. The subconscious mind accepts what it hears most often and with the greatest consistency. Sporadic confidence produces temporary motivation, but persistent declaration builds permanent identity. When you wake up each day and reaffirm who you are becoming, what you are building, and what you expect from yourself, you reinforce neural pathways that align with growth rather than doubt. Over time, your repeated words begin to feel familiar, and familiarity breeds acceptance. Persistence in speech also strengthens emotional endurance. There will be moments when circumstances contradict your declarations, when progress seems slow, or when results are invisible. In those moments, most people revert to negative language, unintentionally undoing the momentum they had built. The disciplined individual refuses to surrender verbally, understanding that spoken defeat often precedes actual defeat. By maintaining empowering language during adversity, you train yourself to separate temporary conditions from permanent identity. This creates psychological stability, allowing you to act with confidence even under pressure. Repetition also sharpens focus. The more frequently you articulate your goals, the clearer they become in your mind, and clarity fuels strategic action. Persistent declaration is not about ignoring reality, but about choosing which reality you give authority to, the present circumstance or the intended outcome. As weeks turn into months, your steady affirmations begin influencing your decisions, habits, and standards. What once felt like forced optimism gradually transforms into grounded confidence. Your speech becomes aligned with your behavior, and your behavior begins producing the very results you have been consistently declaring. In the end, the life you experience is deeply con. CT to the language you consistently allow to shape your mind. Words are not casual expressions, they are blueprints of belief, architects of identity, and silent directors of action. When you choose to speak with clarity, faith, emotion, and persistence, you are not pretending to be successful, you are preparing yourself to become it. Long before success becomes visible in your bank account, your career, your health, or your influence, it must become audible in your voice. The disciplined choice to talk like success reshapes your self-image, strengthens your resolve, sharpens your focus, and conditions your mind to expect victory rather than defeat. Every bold declaration chips away at doubt. Every faith-filled sentence builds internal strength. Every persistent affirmation moves you closer to alignment between who you are and who you are determined to become. One day, what began as intentional speech will no longer feel like practice. It will feel like truth because your outer world will reflect the inner language you refuse to abandon. I wish you strength in your voice, confidence in your declarations, and courage in every step you take toward your goals. May your words empower you daily, and may your belief remain unshaken until your vision becomes reality. Good luck on your journey to success, and thank you for investing your time and attention in your growth.